All right, guys. So here's Daniel Jeremiah's latest mock draft, and no surprise this time of year, quarterbacks galore in the top five. You talk about a year where a lot of quarterbacks are going to go. It's probably this year. He has four quarterbacks going in a row. And this is interesting. J.J. McCarthy now going number 4 to the Vikings. So this time mock drafts are really interesting because this is the NFL personnel has got to see these guys. So you see a lot of them starting to rise. Caleb Williams, number 1 of the Bears. Drake May, number 2 to Washington. Jaden Daniels, number 3 to New England. McCarthy, number 4 to Minnesota. Marvin Harrison, number 5 to the New York Jets. Malik Nabers, number 6 to the Giants. This seems very realistic because the quarterbacks are viewed highly. And then Malik Nabers, Marvin Harrison, just 2 absolute studs, difference makers, wide receivers. So this mock draft makes a lot of sense as far as what actually could happen. Obviously, that'll be a little bit different. You never know. He could get probably 3-4 of these right because mock drafts are usually getting fairly accurate around this time, especially up until a few days before the draft. But yeah, Malik Nabers kind of a case of not the number 1 receiver, but still viewed so highly that he goes right after Marvin Harrison usually. So Malik Nabers, Rome Odunze, Marvin Harrison, clearly the top 3 wide receivers. But yeah, these quarterbacks. Drake May, it appears, still is viewed highly by the NFL. I'm not a fan personally of Drake May, but Drake May is one of those guys where, for me, in my eyes, there's not a lot to love, but there's a lot of things he does well, and he's a guy that just seems like he has a skill set where he could carve a path in the NFL, but I don't love him. Jaden Daniels, his running ability, people kind of get thoughts of Lamar Jackson, so that's where people really like Jaden Daniels. And then Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is the man. I am not diverting my opinion from Caleb Williams. I'm still sold on Caleb Williams. I think his arm talent is exceptional. I think he's a guy that, you go back to last year at this time, people are talking about, pencil him in as the number 1 pick. I don't think a lot has changed. I know he didn't have as good a season, but you've seen a lot of guys like that who just, he's already established enough body work and already put enough on tape where it's just like, you don't really have to overthink. You feel like Caleb Williams not going number 1 in this draft is just completely just overthinking it too much. This guy has the capability to be a superstar. I think that's the bottom line with Caleb Williams. What he did at Oklahoma, what he did in year 2 at USC, what he did even this year too with a roster that was really lacking in a USC team that just wasn't that great. Caleb Williams, don't overthink it. He's going number 1 to the Bears, and that's actually pretty obvious now that they traded Justin Fields. You got to go get someone. Caleb Williams is that someone. Anything else? Joe Alt going 7 to the Titans. It seems like Joe Alt now is the consensus number 1 offensive lineman. I think Joe Alt, it's been a minute since I watched his tape. I think he's the safe pick. I think Fashanu, the other guy that's making a case for the top offensive tackle, is good, but I think Joe Alt has a skill set that, I think Joe Alt, I'll say this, is not going to bust. Joe Alt is going to be, whether he even does play guard, I think he does find a role at tackle. Whether he plays guard, tackle, he's going to be a really good player. Notre Dame has a track record of developing good offensive linemen. I know a lot of that came under Brian Kelly. They got guys like, who's the guy that plays for the Colts? His name escapes me right now. But yeah, Notre Dame, history of developing offensive linemen. I know Marcus Freeman's the coach. I know a lot of those guys came under Brian Kelly, but still, Notre Dame, pretty good history of offensive linemen. Dallas Turner to the Falcons. I think Dallas Turner, even though I don't love Dallas Turner, I think the freakish athleticism this guy possesses, I think, and the ability to win with speed and enough power, I think that's what coaches really see in Dallas Turner. You can really get a lot out of this guy. Rome Odunze, 9 of the Bears. Odunze, just a really good player. Just a guy that he looks like an NFL receiver playing college football this past year, if that makes sense. Just because, not even for the fact that he's just such a freak athletically. He's just a guy that just is so polished, and he just understands route running. He understands how to get open. He understands how to work corners, whether they're pressing him or playing off. A guy that just, Odunze is a guy that just gets it. A guy that's just gonna, like Joe Alt. Odunze and Alt are similar guys. Guys are just gonna find a role in the NFL and find a way to succeed. Other notable picks: Jared Verse falling 8 to 11 to the Cardinals. It's interesting. Verse was thought by some to go top 3. Didn't have as dominant of year, but certainly a guy that could be a really good edge rusher in the NFL and certainly make an impact as a rookie. Brock Bowers, 12 to the Broncos. Brock Bowers is one guy I don't know why is falling in drafts. I know. I guess this time of year is all about raising your stock. I guess Brock Bowers is not really doing things to raise his stock. I think that what could be hurting him. I still think he goes higher than this. Where he goes is the question, though. Because the tight end thing, people have, they think about, Hawkinson was kind of a top 10 pick that didn't work out. Kyle Pitts hasn't really lived up to a top 3-4 pick, even though he's been solid. So, yeah, where Brock Bowers goes is the ultimate question. And then, yeah, that's the thing. Not working out as pro day. I guess it sounds like he had a hamstring injury and then not being able to do drills at the combine. So Brock Bowers not doing things to increase his stock, but also at the same time, a guy like Caleb Williams, even though didn't have this best year the past year, what he put on tape the first 2 years is really was just off the charts. Some other Michael Penix to the Raiders. That's interesting. It seems like every year someone has the Raiders mocking a quarterback or taking a quarterback in the first round. Olu Fashanu, 14 to the Saints. Some other picks. Terrion Arnold seen as one of the top corners. Or a guy that's moving up. Arnold, an athletic guy, just not a lot of football played. He was kind of seen as the other guy to Kool-Aid McKinstry up until apparently now. I got to go back, reevaluate Arnold's tape. And then another one, this is, as a Detroit Lions fan, love the fit. Kool-Aid McKinstry, number 29 to the Detroit Lions, makes a lot of sense. Kool-Aid, just a polished player. Really good all-around football player. 3-year starter at Alabama for Nick Saban, started as a true freshman, former 5-star recruit. Brad Holmes loves Alabama players, whether it's Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch. They've taken a lot of Alabama players, including two now in the last 2 years from the Alabama secondary. So a pick, Kool-Aid McKinstry to the Detroit Lions, a guy that's ready to play now, especially since they need a corner to play now, is a pick that really just makes a lot of sense, and I could definitely see it happening. Chop Robinson, 31 to the 49ers. A.D. Mitchell, number 32 to the Chiefs. That's one of those picks where, some of those end of first round picks are really interesting because they're picks that are like, sometimes they're like a stretch, but sometimes they're really good picks. A.D. Mitchell to the Chiefs, I think, could end up being a pretty solid pick. Another weapon for Mahomes. A.D. Mitchell's a guy that's not viewed as one of the top 3 to 5 receivers, but a really good wide receiver nonetheless. A really good wide receiver in a deep, talented wide receiver class. Guy that just, ups and downs, made big plays in big games. That's kind of the bottom line of A.D. Mitchell. And the other thing that stands out, no Xavier Worthy here, a guy that ran the fastest time in combine history. Worthy, a guy like Mitchell. A little bit of ups and downs, but, big plays and big moments. Both Texas receivers. So similarities between A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy, and similarities in as far as where they'll probably go in the NFL draft. But thanks for watching this, guys. Make sure to check out Schwenk Grills. That's the partner of this video, Schwenk Grills. Grills that get up to 1,500 degrees. Technology used on par with top-end steakhouses. You got to get Schwenk Grills. These things are awesome, man. Got to check it out. I have a link here. Make sure to use that link and for your purchase. You'll get $58 off a grill cover. Thanks for tuning in to the Brand Partial Show. Stay tuned for more episodes and clips from the show. Till next time, peace.